afternoon, everybody. I was asked to give some pictures of my MaxJax I bought. So here it is. It's going to be real quick, nothing professional. And I'll give you my email address at the end. So if you have any questions, you can give me shoot me an email. Okay, so here we go. Let's walk up. And here's some of the improvements that I've made. I was concerned about the safety of these MaxJax because they only came, this one only came with rods with 3 different holes. And I wasn't happy with that. I'm concerned with more safety, or if a hydraulic hose would blow out, then your car's going to flip off the side. Anything mechanical can break at any time, I felt. So instead of buying a more expensive MaxJax, I stuck with this particular type here, and I bought these tall tractor jacks, or they're jacks to get unstuck out of something, you know. These are rated at 4 tons each, and the reason I use those is because even if you forget to turn these locks on as you're raising it up, if you forget that and you still got it raised up, if a hose would break or something weird would happen, then these will automatically stay locked anything over 150 pounds. And I really like that feature. So in order to put these on, I'll try to be quick about it. I did use a cable at the top because they do need a slight amount of movement as they're raising up, I found out. And also, I did have to, I'll swing this arm over. Maybe. I was pulling this, and that's stupid because I needed to pull this up. So, like I said, it's an amateur. Okay, in order to use these safety jacks, and by the way, these jacks are 54 inches tall, and they work fine. But if anybody decides to put those jacks on there, I'd recommend a 60-inch tall jack instead. But anyway, I had to use a grinder, a die grinder, to cut part of this off this jack. Let me grab a light real quick. I had to grind part of this jack support off so it would swing past this swing arm, because if you don't grind part of it off the sides, it will not swing past it and it will not fold up completely. Also, when I installed these jacks, I bought couple of steel flat bars, welded them together, and run them completely over to the other side. And we'll give you a picture of that in a minute. I put a bolt in them, so that's the lifting point for these jacks and the safety of it. I will swing over here and show a picture of this bolt with them flat bars that's installed. And this is fairly soft metal. It's pretty easy to drill it and put holes in it. So that's why I did. The bar runs completely over. As we're on this side, I did install foam rubber. I glued it on there, and it's pretty thick, and I didn't think it would go up without ripping it off, but the glue I used held it pretty good, so you don't bang your car doors on it when you're opening and closing. Another thing I did was put post levels on each of these columns. And it's leveled up now because when I first installed this, I noticed with the levels on it, or without the levels on it, it seemed to be moving a little bit. So I installed these levels, and yes, it's off level just a little bit because I intended it to be that. Because down at the bottom, I was concerned with the footprint on this machine. It just didn't appear large enough, and I would think it would want to topple in. Each side would want to pull in. So with that being said, I went to a machine shop and I had these steel plates cut. They're about 10 inches wide this way and about 12 inches wide the other way, just on the sides. This one here's, I believe, is a 12 by 12. So with these columns laid down on the floor, I did weld these steel plates on these. This is 1/2 inch steel plate, welded on both sides. So it really increased the footprint of this column. I'm guessing approximately 3 square feet. And then I put shims under each plate, and that's why it's unlevel a little bit here, because I wanted to outward tilt to, just to help support everything, because I really don't believe anybody knows how thick their concrete is unless you had it poured. And this one happens to be 4 inches thick. So with that being said, on this side also, I installed chains, support chains with turnbuckles, twin turnbuckles. This is high tensile chain. This has preloaded pressure on it, and it's pretty solid right now. And it's also anchored to the floor, and still this stuff can all be moved, but I really didn't see any reason to take these columns down. I've got plenty of room in the garage, so I just permanently leave them up. And then of course I put this insulation on, protect them from anybody hitting them or opening a car door into them. Let's walk around to the other column. I also mounted the pump assembly to this post column, the one against the wall here, of course. And it worked really good. It's permanently, because, as you guys know, you kind of stumble over the hoses. So I did support to this, mount to this support column. I did install hydraulic pressure gauge, and of course a jack on this side too, and the steel plates. Everything's pretty much the same on each side. Then also I was concerned with, maybe I'm a safety nut, but I was concerned, and I don't lift make-believe cars. I lift real stuff like Suburbans, Tahoes, and the one Suburban I have, it weighs in at 5,900 pounds. And that's how I noticed, partly up, the columns would want to tip in just a few degrees, and it's not the floor moving. I already checked that. So with that being said, I put this support bar here in the middle, and this bar just lifts in and out, and it's a perfect spot for them. The way this lift's made, it just fits down in there. This is a square part on a bearing that I installed. And on the other end of this support rod, it's a screw on it, so I can screw this post tight and put a little pressure on it as it goes up. It works great. This is a 1-inch steel gas pipe, by the way. It works great. There's no degree shift inward on these columns at all with this support. I probably really don't need it, but it was just a little bit extra I decided to do to it. It works great. You can lift it in and out. And it's kind of hard if you don't have a big vehicle like a Suburban or Tahoe. It won't fit because it's actually too high. So, and I'm not afraid to use, I've got a 6-inch and 3-inch on these. And you probably have to use that if you lift a Suburban, because I do, because there's a running board on it. But with that being said, the pipe works great. The middle pipe works great. Going to the floor with my hoses, I wanted to be able to drive over them without causing damage. So I put down these supports And I bought these at Lowe's. These are like metal. I don't know the proper name to tell you, but these are metal, and the hose will just kind of lay inside of them. I just mounted those to the floor and used rubber or plastic tie straps to hold the hose in position. And it works great. I've run over them several times. Of course, I did have to lengthen the hoses about 6 feet, but that worked pretty good too. Let me grab my paper and make sure I haven't missed anything. I gotta have something big. With the support posts, with the lift raised up, I should say, I was concerned about more safety of something supporting these arms. So I bought 4 4x4s and put a wood base on them so they'd stand up good. And these are just 1/2 inch spacers. But I would install, after it lifts up, I would put these under a heavy vehicle and just let the weight down on them. So it'd take all pressure off of the swing arms on the lift. And that works great too. Actually, back to these posts, when you do install these 1/2 inch steel plates, these pins are going to be too short to raise it up, so you can adjust your swing arms. So down here on the bottom of these swing arms, and again, this came from Lowe's or Menards, I believe, it's just a hollow tube pipe, and it's just a perfect fit. I just tapped them up. I added 1 inch to it. I just tapped them up on the bottom, and it works great. So, when it lifts down, it'll swing. You'll be able to swing your arms good on it. I think I've pretty much covered everything on it. So, I'm going to give you, if any of you guys has any questions, I'm going to give you my email address. You can just shoot me an email or something. I'll try to answer any of your questions. And here's the email. Hope it can be read okay. And that'll pretty much conclude the review of my MaxJax. Thanks a lot.